Does it help anybody to play for you the blessings that I count? For instance, yesterday, this is February 19th. Excuse me, this is February. Yeah, this is February 19th. Yesterday was February 18th. Beautiful, rolling, cascading blessings all day long. Thrilling. Does it do anybody any good to play for you the audio tape of counting those blessings? I can't figure it out. First of all, does that do any good? The command seems to be, after you eat, to go on retreat, and that doesn't mean to go backwards. It means to give thanks for the abundance of the day, and to listen and write down what you hear should be done with the next day. And it goes on for quite a while. But there's an urgency to do it. And you wonder, well, you know, you should be out helping people instead of... No, it seems to be very, very important to articulate the blessings that have come your way of that day. And will this help anybody do that?
Count blessings, count pure thoughts.
Is it interesting?
Square two.
I don't know.
Square
But I
six.
know that I did make a record of them.
Go through the pure thought folder. Reminder. Done retreat. 5 minutes late. 8:35. Get up. Get undressed. Wash. Order out. Dress up to videotape. Pack.
Not dress up to videotape, dress up to go to Pittsfield.
Tidy the house. Rubbish. Recycle, recycle, and compost. And to shovel a path into the woods. Good job of packing.
Camera, microphone, battery charger, micro cassettes, mini DVs,
Didn't forget anything.
JVC high definition
Put the
camcorder.
bags out. Linda and George, 15 minutes late.
Walter and Barbara, mistake. This is Walter and Barbara.
Get into their nice vehicle. Route 9, Route 203, Route 28, Route 66. Jog right, go to the bridge and jog left. Rock City Road. And come out at the thruway. And the East Chatham Post Office.
To me, these are all big blessings. Do they mean anything to anybody else? Tell me.
Get some money for MCI. Buy a box. Get the postage for it. Buy some Purple Heart stamps. Tell a joke. Back into the car. some pure thoughts, some happiness thoughts.
The roads made us happy, the car made us happy, our companionship made us happy, the joy book makes us happy. Does this help anybody?
Route 41, Route 20, to East Miriam,
To West Street,
to West Street, to Okada, to Columbus Avenue, to Robbins, to the Christian Center.
what a place the Christian Center is. Wonderful.
John McClendon, and Marion Williams, and
Sandy,
and a big piece of cake.
great
And
chef.
being given away, romaine letters, sour cream, and orange juice.
Oh, I don't know, folks.
Along with a cup of coffee.
I like listening to it, but I don't know if you do. I call it the prayer life of a nobody. And I just want to know if it helps anybody. I put one up a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything from it. But I know this will help us. This is a poem by Franklin Buell. A heart to God. We have a heart to God. From each of us leap sometimes words or acts unplanned, jumping heedless of how they'll land. Acts without thought, from each of us no thought, no thought, no glad horizon scanned. In each of us, behind the face which may be bland, behind the mind that moves the hand, there is a heart. In each of us a heart to guide each stance and stand. May each of us, aware of failures to be spanned, the riches of his heart command, to kindle love. May each of us know love to keep all living grand. That shows you his heart. And that is the way he is now and the way he was. I want to remind you of, this is the Criminal Code of the United States of America. It's Title 18, that's the Criminal Code. And it's Section 1001, easy enough to remember. Whoever, in any matter within the jurisdiction of the departments or agencies of the United States, knowingly and willfully falsifies, conceals, or covers up by any trick, scheme, or device a material fact, or makes any false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or representations, or matter, or cites any false writing or documents knowing the same to contain any false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or entry, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years, or both. Boy, I think that's enough to stop anybody's throat. Remember that. This happens every day. Hundreds of times a day in every court. Municipal, state, federal. From the lowest village court to the Supreme Court of the United States. U.S. attorneys do this all the time. Prosecute them. Now this other one is much simpler. This is Article 28 of the United States Code. Article 28 is how the civil court should be run. And it's 1654 section. And it says that in all courts of the United States, the parties may plead and conduct their own cases personally or by counsel. And counsel doesn't mean a lawyer. It could be your mother, your father. By the rule of such courts respectively are permitted to manage and conduct their own cases, and that the court has an obligation to protect the pro se litigant, the one who chooses not to be represented by a lawyer, and you should always do that. Never be represented by a lawyer. The court has an obligation to protect that pro se litigant from inadvertent surrender of rights. Just those two I wanted to remind you of. This is one thing I am certain that I should tell you about. And it's Brother Lawrence, who was a monk in Paris in the 1600s. And he established his own way of devotion, the practice of the presence of God, his manner of devotion. And he spent those hours appointed for prayer, personal prayer in the monastery, as the monks had this routine, in an effort to turn all of his thoughts toward God. And it was difficult for him. But then he came shortly to the sense of God's nearness and the knowledge that he only wanted to abide in God's presence. This is the answer, folks. This is the one and only answer to the happiness that you've been seeking all of your life. And Brother Lawrence says, my only business is to remain in the holy presence of God, or better, in a habitual, silent, and hidden conversation of my soul with God, a thing of joy and inward rapture. Now God is busy. God's got a lot to do. So it's not so much a conversation with God all the time. It's just a companionship with God. Have you been fortunate enough in your life to have a companion, a human companion, a buddy? You don't talk to each other all the time, but you're in each other's companionship. You know how to do it in a way you can say, this blade of grass brings me happiness. This car brings me happiness. This food of no cruelty to animals brings me happiness. That's one way to do it. Talking to you brings me happiness. You're talking to me and trying to help me brings me happiness. That's the presence of God. The purging and tonic effect of confession. I don't know about that. Yes, you've done something wrong. So first you acknowledge it, and then you repent. You say you're sorry, and you repent also that you'll never do it again. But moving on to the presence of God, Brother Lawrence says, I am schooled to love and follow God in all things. Daily periods of labor, daily periods of prayer, they were all the same to him. His time of labor was as filled with the presence of God as his time of prayer. Calling upon his faith, he was able to lift himself into the presence of God among the stoves and the pans. He was a scullion. He was a cook in the kitchen. Lots of noise. Lots of pandemonium, confusion, commotion. He was able to stay in the presence of God. Can we do that? I made some steps toward it. I think I'll keep working on it until I can perfect it. He was able to lift himself into the presence among his stoves and pans as readily as out of doors in nature or in the silence of the sanctuary. Yes. With me, he said, my time of labor is no different from my time of prayer. That is obtainable. I have personal knowledge of that. Amid the clatter, I hold to God, and with as great tranquility as though I were on my knees at the Blessed Sacrament. In his service, I turn this cake that is in the pan before me. And when that service is done, I kneel down in submission before God, for it is through his grace that I have this work to do. And if I did it well, I'm as happy as any person can be. If I did it badly, I ask forgiveness. God, you are with me, and it is your will that this task be done. First of all, name the task. My task right now is trying to share with you and give you what I know, and you give me what you know. This is my task. And throughout it all, I will do this in the presence of God. And God is with me during this endeavor, this labor of the mind, of the speech. Throughout it all, God is with me. And God fills my heart, and yours too. That was Brother Lawrence's prayer. Since he knew where to turn for unfailing assistance, and you know that, you know where to turn. There's no other assistance. Nobody else is going to give you assistance. There's only one place to turn. In reverent affection, a familiar companionship with God, a familiar companionship with God, containing the whole of the spiritual life. This is all you need. All you need. And it is generated with you alone with God. That's all you need. That's your entire spiritual life. In his own personal philosophy and way, he felt compelled to recommend it to a fellow pilgrim on the Mystic Road. Are you and I fellow pilgrims on the Mystic Road? He was a man of very few words, but of very great inclination to God. he found his faith incomparably by the simple and pure words of Jesus Christ. When he meditated upon the splendor of God's direct speaking to his soul, only the Creator can be the teacher of truth in its fullness and grandeur. In a single flash, God illumines with knowledge and understanding. Brother Lawrence had little regard for intellect and reasoning, but the unspeakable riches that God spreads forth. And they are yours, folks. They are yours just for the doing. Far from the madding crowd, go alone with God and hear it straight from God. You know, why do a Xerox copy when you can have the original? The unspeakable riches that God spreads forth. We achieve only a reflection, a copy, which we might turn our eyes, when we might turn our eyes to the incomparable original. Thank you, Brother Lawrence. Thank you too, everybody. Anything you can do to help myself or anybody else. This is the only happiness there is. The only happiness there is. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your life. This is where the happiness is, and the only place it is. God be with you till we meet again. Keep his loving arms around you. God be with you till we meet again. This is a